Exposed conduits for stairwell lighting are generally allowed by code under certain conditions. The National Electrical Code, specifically Article 700.49a, states that stairways and exit passageways shall be without exposed conductors other than pendant or bracket luminaires. Article 400.8 says exposed raceways shall not be installed where they will be subject to physical damage. While the National Electrical Code generally prohibits exposed conductors in stairwells, it allows for exceptions, such as raceways, which are conduits for stairwell lighting. However, these raceways must not create a hazard by being subject to physical damage. The conduits must be installed in a way that protects them from potential damage, such as being run at a high elevation or in a protected location. The conduits must be securely fastened to the wall or ceiling to prevent accidental dislodgement. The lighting fixtures must be securely attached to the conduits and protected from impact. In some cases, installing the conduits in a 2i rated soffit may be required if the stairwell is required to maintain its integrity in the event of a fire. This is typically the case for high-rise buildings or other occupancies where fire safety is a high priority. It's highly recommended to consult with local building codes and authorities having jurisdiction or OJ for specific requirements. Also consider the potential for physical damage to the conduits when selecting the installation method. If unsure, it is always advisable to install the conduits in a soft soffitting to ensure compliance and safety. When considering electrical installations, especially in locations like stairwells, understanding and adhering to the National Electrical Code, or NEC, is paramount. The NEC provides guidelines to ensure safety and prevent electrical hazards. When it comes to running conduits for stairwell lighting, there are specific considerations to keep in mind. Firstly, it's important to differentiate between conductors and raceways. Conductors are the wires that carry electrical current, while raceways, such as conduits, are the enclosures that protect these conductors. The NEC generally prohibits exposed conductors in stairwells to minimize the risk of electrical shock or fire. However, there are exceptions for raceways, particularly when they are used to supply power to stairwell lighting. Article 700.49 of the NEC specifically addresses stairways and exit passageways, stating that they should be without exposed conductors other than pendant or bracket luminaires. This means that while exposed wires are not allowed, lighting fixtures themselves, such as pendant or bracket lights, are permitted. Furthermore, Article 400.8 prohibits the installation of exposed raceways where they are subject to physical damage. This is a crucial consideration when running conduits in stairwells, as these areas can be prone to accidental impacts or vandalism. To ensure compliance with the NEC, several precautions should be taken when installing conduits for stairwell lighting. 1. The conduit should be installed in a manner that minimizes the risk of physical damage. This can be achieved by running the conduits at a high elevation, away from areas where they are likely to be bumped or struck. 2. The conduits should be securely fastened to the wall or ceiling using appropriate mounting hardware. This will prevent them from becoming dislodged or damaged over time. 3. The lighting fixtures should be securely attached to the conduits and protected from impact. This can be accomplished by using sturdy mounting brackets and guards to shield the fixtures from accidental bumps or vandalism. In situations where the stairwell is required to maintain its integrity in the event of a fire, such as in high-rise buildings or other occupancies with stringent fire safety requirements, installing the conduits in a 2i rated soffit may be necessary. A soffit is an enclosed structure that protects the conduits from fire damage, ensuring that the electrical system continues to function even during a fire. The 2i rating indicates that the soffit can withstand fire for a minimum of 2 hours, providing valuable time for occupants to evacuate the building. It's important to consult with local building codes and the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, to determine the specific requirements for stairwell lighting installations in the area. The AHA is responsible for enforcing the NEC and other applicable codes, and they can provide guidance on the appropriate methods and materials to use. In addition to consulting with the AHA, it's also advisable to consider the potential for future modifications or additions to the electrical system. By designing the conduit system with flexibility in mind, it will be easier to accommodate changes or upgrades in the future without having to make major alterations to the existing infrastructure. In summary, while exposed conduits for stairwell lighting are generally allowed by the NEC, there are specific conditions that must be met to ensure safety and compliance. These include protecting the conduits from physical damage, securely fastening them to the wall or ceiling, and using appropriate mounting hardware for the lighting fixtures. In some cases, installing the conduits in a 2i rated soffit may be required to maintain the integrity of the stairwell in the event of a fire. By following these guidelines and consulting with local building codes and the AHJ, it's possible to safely and effectively install conduits for stairwell lighting while adhering to the requirements of the National Electrical Code. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it's always best to consult with a qualified electrician if you are not comfortable performing the installation yourself. A licensed electrician will have the knowledge and experience to ensure that the work is done safely and in compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. They can also help you select the appropriate materials and methods for your specific application, taking into account factors such as the type of building, the occupancy, and the local environmental conditions. By working with a qualified electrician, you can have peace of mind knowing that your electrical installation is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. Also consider the long-term maintenance of the conduit system. Regularly inspect the conduits and lighting fixtures for signs of damage or wear and tear. Replace any damaged components promptly to prevent electrical hazards. Keep the conduits clean and free of debris to ensure proper ventilation and prevent overheating. By performing regular maintenance, you can extend the lifespan of the conduit system and ensure that it continues to operate safely and efficiently for years to come. Furthermore, consider the energy efficiency of the lighting fixtures used in the stairwell. Opt for energy-efficient LED lighting fixtures to reduce energy consumption and lower utility bills. LED lights are also more durable and have a longer lifespan than traditional incandescent or fluorescent lights, which can further reduce maintenance costs. When selecting LED lighting fixtures, look for those that are rated for stairwell applications and that meet all applicable safety standards. Also, consider the color temperature of the light. A warm color temperature, around 3000 Kelvin, can create a more inviting and comfortable atmosphere in the stairwell. In addition to the NEC, there may be other applicable codes and standards that govern the installation of electrical systems in stairwells. These may include local building codes, fire codes, and accessibility standards. Be sure to consult with the AHA to determine all of the applicable requirements for your specific project. In some cases, it may be necessary to obtain permits or inspections before beginning the installation. This will help to ensure that the work is done in compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it's always best to err on the side of caution. If you're not sure about something, consult with a qualified electrician or the AHA before proceeding. By taking the necessary precautions, you can ensure that your electrical installation is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. And do not forget to properly ground the conduit system. Grounding helps to protect against electrical shock by providing a path for fault current to flow back to the source. Make sure that the conduits are properly grounded to the building's grounding system in accordance with the NEC. Use appropriate grounding connectors and clamps to ensure a secure and reliable connection. Also consider the potential for corrosion of the conduits. In damp or humid environments, corrosion can occur over time, which can weaken the conduits and create electrical hazards. To prevent corrosion, use corrosion-resistant materials for the conduits and fittings. Galvanized steel or PVC conduits are good options for damp environments. Also, consider applying a protective coating to the conduits to further enhance their resistance to corrosion. And consider the aesthetics of the conduit installation. While safety and compliance are the primary considerations, it's also important to ensure that the installation is visually appealing. Run the conduits neatly and parallel to the walls or ceiling. Use appropriate fittings and connectors to create a clean and professional look. Consider painting the conduits to match the surrounding decor. By paying attention to aesthetics, you can create an electrical installation that is both safe and visually pleasing. Moreover, consider the accessibility of the conduit system for future maintenance and repairs. Ensure that the conduits are easily accessible for inspection, repair, and replacement. Avoid running the conduits behind walls or ceilings where they would be difficult to reach. Use access panels or removable covers to provide access to the conduits when needed. By considering accessibility, you can make it easier to maintain and repair the conduit system in the future. Remember to document the conduit installation. Keep a record of the location of the conduits, the type of materials used, and the date of installation. This documentation will be helpful for future maintenance and repairs. It can also be useful for insurance purposes. Store the documentation in a safe and accessible location. Also, consider the impact of the conduit installation on other building systems. Avoid running the conduits in a way that would interfere with the operation of other systems such as HVAC, plumbing, or fire protection. Coordinate with other trades to ensure that the conduit installation is properly integrated with the other building systems. And before beginning the conduit installation, perform a thorough site assessment. Identify any potential hazards or obstacles that could affect the installation. Check for existing utilities, such as electrical wires, plumbing pipes, or gas lines. Be aware of any structural limitations or restrictions. By performing a thorough site assessment, you can minimize the risk of accidents or delays during the installation. Also, consider the potential for future expansion or modification of the electrical system. Design the conduit system with enough capacity to accommodate future needs. Install additional conduits or pull boxes to make it easier to add new circuits or equipment in the future. By considering future expansion, you can avoid the need for major alterations to the electrical system down the road. And do not forget to use appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, when working with electrical systems. Wear safety glasses, gloves, and appropriate clothing to protect yourself from electrical shock, burns, and other hazards. Follow all safety procedures and guidelines. Never work on live electrical circuits unless you are properly trained and authorized to do so. When in doubt, consult with a qualified electrician. Finally, remember that electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving. Stay up to date on the latest changes and revisions to the NEC and other applicable codes. Attend training courses or seminars to learn about new technologies and best practices. By staying informed, you can ensure that your electrical installations are always safe, compliant, and state-of-the-art. And if you are unsure about any aspect of the conduit installation, consult with a qualified electrical engineer. An electrical engineer can provide expert advice and guidance in the design, installation, and maintenance of electrical systems. They can also help you to ensure that your installation is compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. By working with an electrical engineer, you can have peace of mind knowing that your electrical system is safe, reliable, and designed to meet your specific needs. Furthermore, consider the long-term durability of the conduit system. Select materials that are resistant to wear and tear, corrosion, and other forms of damage. Install the conduits in a way that protects them from physical abuse. By considering long-term durability, you can minimize the need for future repairs or replacements. And remember to properly label the conduits. Use labels to identify the circuits that are served by each conduit. This will make it easier to troubleshoot problems in the future. It will also help to prevent accidental disconnections or damage to the wrong circuits. Also, consider the potential for electromagnetic interference, or EMI. EMI can disrupt the operation of electronic equipment. To minimize EMI, use shielded conduits and cables. Ground the conduits properly. Keep the conduits away from sensitive electronic equipment. By considering EMI, you can ensure that your electrical system does not interfere with other equipment in a building. Also, consider the potential for surge protection. Power surges can damage electronic equipment. To protect against power surges, install surge protective devices, or SPDs, at the main electrical panel and at individual circuits. Use SPD that are rated for the specific voltage and current of the electrical system. By considering surge protection, you can protect your electronic equipment from damage. And remember to use appropriate wiring methods. Select the correct type and size of wire for each circuit. Follow all wiring guidelines and regulations. Use approved connectors and splices. By using appropriate wiring methods, you can ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. Finally, remember that electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. Be aware of the potential hazards of electricity. Follow all safety precautions. Report any electrical problems or concerns to a qualified electrician. By working together, we can create a safe and healthy environment for everyone.